This week on the Digital Marketing Scoop, we're talking about influencer marketing. Hey everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of the Digital Marketing Scoop. This week we're going to be chatting about influencer marketing, some of the do's, the don'ts, the best practices, some of the mistakes people make. I suppose kind of at the atmosphere around influencer marketing can actually be not massively good, I would say, kind of
it's
people's
very
impressions of it.
Yeah. People definitely understand the value of it.
Yeah.
Because people are like, we want to do it, but we don't want to F it up.
Yeah.
You know, people really, really are interested in it. We definitely have clients coming through asking, what influencers would you recommend in this space, that space? But it comes with a strategy and a plan, and it comes with a whole pile of stuff that needs to be done ahead of picking a person. And it's like an interview for a job. You need to find someone that really matches up
with your brand.
With your brand,
like
company,
there's no
everything.
doubt about when it's done right. It's fantastic. You can see it in Instagram. You can see it in YouTube. Some of the people who do it really, really well.
Yeah.
I'd say I can only imagine the ROI on some of those campaigns.
I'm sure where is it there? So the influencer marketing industry is expected to hit 10 billion by 2020.
Yeah. So it's definitely a massively growing side of the digital marketing space.
Yeah.
I suppose it's relatively new, I suppose, even though it's influencer marketing really has been around for forever. It's just when now it's in the digital space, it's a little bit different.
Yeah, I guess people are more familiar with celebrities.
Yeah.
And then a lot of people I would talk to would say, you'd have kind of Irish level celebrities, you'd have kind of UK level celebrities, then you'll have your US levels celebrities. But for influencer marketing, it's the younger generation isn't as focused as much as on the big celebrities that you see on your TV and your radio and everything. It's digital celebrities.
Yeah, it's become more niche.
Yeah, it's very, very niche. I mean, there's definitely probably even tons of people in Cork that you've never heard of, or you might have heard of, with between 10 and 100,000 followers.
Yeah.
And they're doing really, really well in their niche. But walking down the street, people wouldn't recognize them as such unless you were into whatever niche they work with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know personally, I love the travel side of things. So on Instagram and on YouTube, we follow a load of travel people. And if I were to chat about them to anybody else, nobody would have a clue who I'm talking about. But if that person comes out and on their travel say, I really recommend this product, it's done really well for us, that is one of the best recommendations that you can get.
I actually think it's kind of people have gotten to the stage where a celebrity is like, oh my God, drink my low fat tea. People are like,
low fat tea.
Yeah. I'm just thinking of all the Kardashians with their low fat tea or their lose weight tea or whatever that stuff will do. But I mean, people just ignore that a small bit because they're just like, oh, that's just an ad. Whereas when an influencer does an ad, even though it's still just an ad, there's a little bit of a, they're so authentic and cool. They're only actually saying yes to this ad because they actually want the product as well, or they actually agree with that. And a lot of influencers, especially influencers that do their work well, very much, I hate using the word authentic too much, but they're very authentic in their space, and genuinely a lot of them will turn away ads that don't fit with their brand as well. So it's a balancing act between, it's not, you can't just go to an influencer and be like, oh, here's X amount of money, will you promote this? They might equally say that you're not a fit for their brand. It's very much an interview process as well.
Yeah. And I know definitely in the travel space, you'd have people who were using the products and you could see the products going back months or years in their video. And then that company actually approaches them because they know, okay, this is someone who knows our product. They believe in our product. They trust our brand. It's going to be the perfect match then.
That's when you've struck gold. If an influencer is already using your product, jump on that bandwagon quick. Or else let them use it for a little bit longer. Don't pay them for a while, but see how you're going. But that's the other side of it as well, is that influencer marketing it can get you sales and conversions, and it is about kind of that side of it at the end of the day. But probably the biggest thing around it is your focus a little bit should be on brand awareness, especially if you're just starting with an influencer. Make sure that that your goals are set around brand awareness at the start, because you can't just jump in and expect the quick payout.
Instant sales.
Yeah. It doesn't work like that. It's more of a long-term relationship that you're building with someone.
Building trust.
You're building trust with their audience as well as your own audience, and you're kind of starting to. It's like you're marrying two accounts a little bit. You're trying to put that forward together, and you need to take a look at what other products, what other services are they promoting as well. Is it just you? Is there, you don't want competition in your space very quickly as well, so you need to just kind of be careful around it. There's a few do's and don'ts there with them.
And I suppose I suppose a lot of what we do in terms of the measurement then of the results of a campaign, you see a lot of people, the way they do it is they give the influencer a coupon code. If they use that coupon code, you know exactly where your sales come from. You can also use Google Analytics tracking links. So if in their, like, let's say it's a YouTube video, in their description they're putting the link in, so you can track all the traffic coming from that specific influencer. But like you said, it's very different to say a Google Ads campaign where, you know, you're measuring ROI a specific way. This is more about building the brand, building that trust. Obviously you need to see that traffic flowing, you do need to see sales flowing, but your expectations, I think, should be very different. And like going back to the tracking of them, I mean, give them a custom link, use Bitly, use Rebrandly, use a service like that where you can give them a link that only them has, and you can kind of have a little bit of extra kind of track. Well, you can, because on your Google Analytics, say for example it's an Instagram account and they're saying, oh, click the link in bio. Like on your Google Analytics, it's not going to say Instagram from your influencer, blah, blah, blah. It's just going to say Instagram. And with Google Analytics, it might just say direct, like, you know. So you need to, if you give them a custom link, at least you can say, well, this is actually how many people came through from there. And then you can set up kind of custom tracking from that point through, that if the referrer was this, and kind of bring it through that way. But there's no other really strong way of track. Sometimes it can get a little bit messy with tracking. Sometimes if you're just leaving it to the influencer to give you your numbers, as much as you trust them, it could be a risk. And I suppose on that kind of side of things as well, the influencer knows their audience. Where you're coming in as an advertiser trying to adjust their content for your brand, that's probably the worst thing you can do, because then it's going to come across as fake. So if you are working with an influencer, you really do have to trust them with your brand, because they know their audience. And they know what's going to work for that audience. So if if your brand, you have a set way of doing things, and you know, okay, this person has an audience that we want to target. Let that influencer work with you on the creatives and whatever you need to get done for it. There, as I say, that's their audience.
100% have to give them some level of creative freedom. Otherwise you're going to stick out like a sore thumb on their newsfeed.
It's just going to look like a regular ad then.
And then you're not getting anything really. And like it is difficult to relinquish control of your brand a small bit, especially when you're like, if you're using influencer marketing, the assumption is that you've really thought a little bit about brand awareness. So it is important to go, right, this person fits, their audience fits, this is the perfect fit. I need to relinquish a little bit of creative control to them to bring the brand really to life in their feed. Otherwise you're probably wasting a little bit of the money anyway. You're
just turning it into a regular ad instead of actually something that the audience wants to see and wants to hear.
And the other thing as well is that, like, you know that their audience, if you know their audience is engaging with their content regularly, and then you have making them put out this ad and it sticks out like a sore thumb in their newsfeed, they'll probably not recognize it as that particular influencer or a person that they love to follow. They'll just scroll past it and not even cop that it's them. You know, so that's really important as well.
So I suppose just some facts with regards influencer marketing. 70% of teens trust influencers more than traditional celebrities. That's you can see that going forward. You can see them in the phones, on YouTube, on Instagram. There's a big shift away from the traditional celebrity, I suppose. You see, and you can see it now with the likes of like Will Smith on YouTube with his vlog. He knows he's very, very good. He's just building a whole other following basically now. He's like celebrity, and now he's building his YouTube celebrity as well.
Zach Galifianakis does that as well.
Oh, does he?
Between Two Ferns. Have you ever
Oh,
watched?
yes.
It's
Yeah. On Funny or Die.
Yeah.
It's brilliant. Yeah. I haven't seen one of those in ages, actually. I don't know if he's still making them or not, but no, they're fantastic. So, and another thing again, 57% of fashion and beauty campaigns engage in influencer marketing. It's a product and a service that's kind of made for it, I suppose.
Yeah, exactly. Anything along fitness, fashion, beauty, travel, hotels, those kind of things are just built for influencer marketing. Some other stuff, like cars sometimes as well. Those kind of a lot of things that people would consider luxury products.
Yeah.
Work really well with influencer marketing because you find one. It's like Apple, you know. It's like one of those things that kind of product placement when you put your product next to something shiny, suddenly it looks a little shinier. That's the same kind of concept, putting your fashion or your whatever your product is with someone who has that kind of facade around them, we'll say, or influence around them. It does give it that extra oomph, shall we say. But there's so many. I mean, if you get a little creative with it yourself, you'll definitely find an influencer in that space. I mean, I follow this guy from Galway, and he does wood crafts. But I mean, if you were a supplier of like specific tools for woodworking and stuff, it can be literally, that's just an example of the most random thing. Like it can actually be anything, but you just need to go looking.
Yeah. And that's the thing. You know, I suppose we all go out and look for that person. 100,000 followers, but no, if you've got someone who has 1,000 followers, but they're hugely active and engaging with that person, that's 1,000 people who are going to hang on that. Whatever that person says, basically. Yeah,
definitely.
So when you are doing, if you're researching influencers, you know, start looking for those smaller ones. And what I see a lot of people doing, particularly on the YouTube side of things, is if they've got like 5-6 influencers lined up, that they all at the same time go with the promotion. So you're getting that kind of the more mass effect rather than, okay, they did this on Tuesday and they did the following week. But it's to organize it so that everybody goes at the same time. So you just get that massive bump in brand awareness. Yeah,
definitely. Especially on Instagram as well. I mean, I would argue that you're probably going to do better with 10 micro influencers going out at the same time than you are with like one huge one, unless it's the Kardashians, in which case you've paid $1 million for one post. I think that's what,
It's nice if you can get it.
Yeah.
Brilliant. So thank you very much for listening. That has been this week's episode of the Digital Marketing Scoop.